Have you ever felt like you're not good enough because someone else seems better at something? Maybe you see someone getting better grades or playing sports better than you. Sometimes we compare ourselves to others and feel unhappy because of it. This is a kind of behavior that can make us unhappy and stop us from being our best selves. It's called self-sabotage. Imagine you're working on a project, but instead of starting, you keep checking your phone or watching TV. This is procrastination, a way we sometimes sabotage our own success. Or maybe you really want to join a club at school, but you're too afraid to try out. This fear can hold you back from doing things that could make you happy. Self-sabotage is when we do things that hurt our chances of being happy or successful. It can look like self-doubt, avoiding opportunities, or even having strained relationships with friends and family. It's like having a voice inside that says, "You're not good enough," or "You'll never succeed." But the good news is that we can learn to recognize these behaviors and change them to make ourselves happier and more successful. Have you ever wondered why sometimes you do things that make it harder for you to be happy or successful? Maybe you've been working on a project, but instead of finishing it, you start playing video games or watching TV. Or perhaps you really want to make new friends, but you're too scared to talk to anyone new. These behaviors are examples of self-sabotage, and they can happen to anyone. Self-sabotage is like having a little voice inside you that tells you to do things that aren't good for you. It's like having a friend who doesn't want you to succeed. But why does this happen? Let's explore some reasons. One big reason for self-sabotage is fear. Sometimes we're afraid of failing at something, so we don't even try. Imagine you really want to join the school soccer team, but you're scared you won't be good enough. Instead of trying out, you decide not to join at all. This way, you don't risk feeling bad if you don't make the team. But by not trying, you also miss out on the chance to be part of the team and make new friends. Fear can also be about success. It might sound strange, but some people are afraid of succeeding because they don't know how to handle it. If you're used to being in a certain role or position, achieving something big might change everything, and that can be scary. For example, if you're always the kid who struggles in math, and then you suddenly start doing really well, it might feel weird or uncomfortable. You might start to doubt yourself or feel like you don't belong in that new role. Another reason is perfectionism. Some people feel like they have to be perfect at everything they do. If they can't be perfect, they might not want to do it at all. For example, if you're working on a drawing and you think it's not perfect, you might decide to throw it away instead of showing it to anyone. But the truth is, nobody is perfect, and it's okay to make mistakes. Mistakes can actually help us learn and get better. Think about it like this. When you're learning to ride a bike, you don't expect to ride perfectly the first time. You might fall a few times, but that's how you learn to balance and steer. It's the same with everything else in life. Making mistakes is a natural part of learning and growing. Self-sabotage can also come from negative thoughts about ourselves. Sometimes we think we're not good enough or smart enough. These thoughts can make us feel like we shouldn't even try to do things because we'll just fail anyway. But these thoughts are often wrong. Everyone has strengths and weaknesses, and just because you're not good at one thing doesn't mean you're not good at anything. For instance, maybe you're not great at math, but you're amazing at writing stories or drawing pictures. Everyone has something they're naturally good at, and that's what makes us special. So instead of focusing on what you're not good at, try to focus on what you are good at and build on those strengths. Trauma or bad experiences from the past can also lead to self-sabotage. If something bad happened to you, you might start to believe that you don't deserve good things or that you're not worthy of happiness. But this isn't true. Everyone deserves to be happy, and past experiences don't define who you are today. It's like having a big storm cloud following you around, but you have the power to chase that cloud away. You can do this by talking to someone you trust, like a parent, teacher, or counselor. They can help you understand that you are worthy of happiness and that you can overcome past hurts. Lastly, self-sabotage can happen because of something called cognitive dissonance. This is when what we think and what we do don't match. For example, if you believe that you should always be kind to others, but you find yourself being mean to someone, it can make you feel uncomfortable. To avoid this feeling, You might start to sabotage your relationships or avoid people altogether. But it's better to work on changing your actions to match what you believe in. Imagine you really believe in being honest, but you find yourself telling a small lie. This can make you feel bad because it doesn't match what you think is right. Instead of lying again to avoid feeling bad, try to be honest next time. This way, your actions will match your beliefs and you'll feel better about yourself. So, how can we stop self-sabotaging behaviors? The first step is to become aware of when we're doing them. If you notice that you're procrastinating or avoiding things because of fear, try to understand why. Are you afraid of failing? Are you worried about not being perfect? Once you know why, you can start to work on changing those thoughts and behavior. For instance, if you're afraid of failing, remind yourself that it's okay to make mistakes. Everyone fails sometimes, and it's a normal part of learning. If you're worried about not being perfect, try to focus on doing your best instead of being perfect. And if you're having negative thoughts about yourself, try to replace them with positive ones. Instead of saying, "I'm not good enough," say, "I can learn and get better." It's also important to build a support system. Talk to friends, family, or a counselor about how you're feeling. They can offer advice and encouragement that can help you overcome self-sabotage. In addition, setting small goals for yourself can be helpful. If you have a big project, break it down into smaller tasks. This way, it won't feel so overwhelming, and you'll be more likely to start working on it. Celebrate each small success along the way, and remember that every step forward is a step closer to your goal. Imagine you're on a journey to discover why we sometimes sabotage our own happiness. Along this journey, you meet some very wise people called philosophers. They have thought deeply about life and happiness, and they have some interesting ideas to share. One of the most famous philosophers is Socrates. He lived a long time ago in a place called Greece. Socrates believed in something called know thyself. This means that to be happy and successful, you need to understand yourself really well. You need to know what you're good at, what you're not good at, and what makes you happy. Think about it like this. If you know that you love drawing, but you're not very good at math, you can focus more on drawing and find ways to make math easier for you. Knowing yourself helps you make better choices and avoid doing things that might make you unhappy. Another philosopher who had some great ideas is Friedrich Nietzsche. He believed that life is full of challenges, but these challenges can actually help us grow stronger and happier. He said that we should embrace these challenges and see them as opportunities to learn and become better versions of ourselves. Imagine you're trying to climb a big mountain. It might seem scary and hard, but if you keep going and reach the top, you'll feel incredibly proud of yourself. That's what Nietzsche meant by embracing challenges. He also believed in something called the eternal recurrence. This is a big idea, but basically, it means that if you could live your life over and over again, you should be happy with the choices you make each day. Nietzsche wanted people to live their lives in a way that they would be proud to repeat forever. So, if you're doing something that makes you unhappy, it might be time to think about changing it. Existentialist philosophers, like Jean-Paul Sartre, also had some important ideas about happiness and self-sabotage. They believe that we have complete freedom to choose what we do and who we want to be. This freedom can be both exciting and scary. It means that we are responsible for our own happiness and success. Imagine you're standing in front of a big menu at a restaurant. You have to choose what you want to eat, and that choice is all yours. If you choose something you don't like, you can't blame anyone else. It's the same with life. We make choices every day, and those choices can either make us happy or unhappy. But what if you're not sure what to choose? That's where another philosopher, Aristotle, comes in. He believed in something called eudaimonia, which is a fancy word for happiness or fulfillment. Aristotle thought that to achieve eudaimonia, we need to live a life of virtue and do things that are good for us and others. For example, if you help someone in need, it can make you feel happy and fulfilled. Aristotle also believed that we should strive to be the best version of ourselves. This means working on our strengths and weaknesses to become better people. Lastly, let's talk about a modern thinker named Seth Godin. He wrote about something called the lizard brain. The lizard brain is like a little voice inside you that tries to keep you safe by avoiding risks. It's the part of your brain that says, "Don't try that. You might fail, but Godin suggests that we need to overcome this voice to achieve our goals and be happy. Think of it like this. If you want to learn how to swim, your lizard brain might say, "Don't get in the water, you might drown." But if you listen to that voice, you'll never learn how to swim. You have to be brave and try new things to grow and be happy. Have you ever noticed that sometimes you do things that make it harder for you to be happy or successful? Maybe you procrastinate on your homework, or you avoid talking to new people because you're shy. These behaviors can be triggered by certain patterns or situations in our lives. Let's explore some of these common triggers and patterns. One of the biggest triggers for self-sabotage is stress. When we feel overwhelmed, we might start to do things that make our situation worse instead of better. For example, if you have a lot of homework and you're feeling stressed, you might start playing video games instead of working on your assignments. This can make you feel better for a little while, but it doesn't solve the problem and can lead to more stress later. Another trigger is fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, or even fear of change can make us sabotage our own efforts. Imagine you really want to join a sports team, but you're afraid you won't be good enough. Instead of trying out, you might decide not to join at all. This way, you avoid the risk of failing, but you also miss out on the chance to be part of the team and make new friends. Perfectionism is another pattern that can lead to self-sabotage. Some people feel like they have to be perfect at everything they do. If they can't be perfect, they might not want to do it at all. For instance, if you're working on a drawing and you think it's not perfect, you might decide to throw it away instead of showing it to anyone. But the truth is, nobody's perfect, and it's okay to make mistakes. Mistakes can actually help us learn and get better. Comparing ourselves to others is also a common pattern that can lead to self-sabotage. When we compare ourselves to others, we often feel like we're not good enough. This can make us feel unhappy and might even stop us from trying new things. Imagine you see someone else getting better grades than you, and you start to feel like you're not smart enough. Instead of focusing on your own strengths and working to improve, you might give up or avoid challenges altogether. Avoiding meaningful connections is another pattern. Sometimes we might avoid making new friends or getting close to people because we're afraid of getting hurt. But having good friends and relationships is important for our happiness. If we avoid these connections, we might feel lonely or unhappy. Lastly, people-pleasing can be a trigger for self-sabotage. This is when we try to make everyone else happy, even if it means sacrificing our own happiness. Imagine you really want to join a club at school, but your friends want you to join a different one. If you choose the club your friends want just to make them happy, you might end up unhappy because you're not doing what you really want to do. So, how can we recognize and change these patterns? The first step is to become aware of when we're doing them. Fear. If you notice that you're procrastinating or avoiding things because of fear or stress, try to understand why. Are you afraid of failing? Are you worried about not being perfect? Once you know why, you can start to work on changing those thoughts and behaviors. For instance, if you're afraid of failing, remind yourself that it's okay to make mistakes. Everyone fails sometimes, and it's a normal part of learning. If you're worried about not being perfect, try to focus on doing your best instead of being perfect. And if you're comparing yourself to others, try to focus on your own strengths and accomplishments. It's also important to build a support system. Talk to friends, family, or a counselor about how you're feeling. They can offer advice and encouragement that can help you overcome self-sabotage. In addition, setting small goals for yourself can be helpful. If you have a big project, break it down into smaller tasks. This way, it won't feel so overwhelming, and you'll be more likely to start working on it. Celebrate each small success along the way, and remember that every step forward is a step closer to your goal. Sometimes, hearing about how others have overcome challenges can inspire us to do the same. Let's explore some real-life stories of people who struggled with self-sabotage and how they managed to change their behaviors. Imagine you're a talented artist, but every time you try to create something new, you feel like it's not good enough. You might even throw away your work or decide not to show it to anyone. This is what happened to Emma, a young artist who loved to paint. She was so afraid of not being perfect that she often didn't finish her paintings or shared them with others. One day, Emma realized that she was missing out on the joy of creating art because of her fear. She decided to take a different approach. Instead of focusing on making perfect paintings, she started to enjoy the process of creating. She began to paint just for fun, without worrying about what others might think. Slowly, she started to share her work with friends and family, and they loved it. Emma learned that it's okay to make mistakes and that sharing her art with others could bring her happiness. Another story is about Alex, who was afraid to make new friends. Alex was shy and worried that others wouldn't like him. He would often avoid joining clubs or teams at school because he was afraid of being rejected. But Alex really wanted to be part of a group and have friends to hang out with. One day, Alex decided to take a chance. He joined a school club that interested him, even though he was scared. At first it was hard, but he started to make friends who shared his interests. Alex realized that his fear was holding him back from having fun and making connections with others. By facing his fear, he was able to build strong friendships and become more confident. Then there's the story of Maya, who struggled with procrastination. Maya had big dreams of starting her own business, but every time she tried to work on her plans, she would get distracted. She would watch TV, play video games, or scroll through her phone instead of focusing on her goals. Maya realized that she needed to change her habits. She started setting small goals for herself each day and rewarding herself when she achieved them. She also found a friend who shared her goals, and they worked together to stay motivated. By breaking down her big dreams into smaller steps and having support, Maya was able to make progress and eventually start her own successful business. Lastly, let's talk about Jack, who was a people pleaser. Jack always tried to make everyone else happy, even if it meant sacrificing his own happiness. He would join clubs or activities just because his friends wanted him to, even if he didn't enjoy them. One day, Jack realized that he was unhappy because he wasn't doing what he truly wanted. He decided to start saying no to things that didn't make him happy and focus on his own interests. It wasn't easy, but Jack learned that it's okay to prioritize his own happiness and that true friends will respect his choices. These stories show us that self-sabotage can happen to anyone, but we all have the power to change. By recognizing our patterns and taking small steps towards change, we can overcome self-sabotage and achieve our goals. So, how can you apply these lessons to your own life? Start by identifying what triggers your self-sabotaging behaviors. Is it fear, perfectionism, or something else? Once you know what's holding you back, you can start to work on changing those thoughts and behaviors. It's also important to build a support system. Talk to friends, family, or a counselor about how you're feeling. They can offer advice and encouragement that can help you overcome self-sabotage. In addition, setting small goals for yourself can be helpful. If you have a big dream, break it down into smaller tasks. This way, it won't feel so overwhelming, and you'll be more likely to start working on it. Celebrate each small success along the way, and remember that every step forward is a step closer to your goal. Now that we've explored why we sometimes sabotage our own happiness and heard stories of people who overcame these challenges, it's time to learn how to break the cycle of self-sabotage. Breaking the cycle means stopping those behaviors that hold us back and starting new habits that help us achieve our goals and be happy. One of the most powerful tools for breaking the cycle is self-awareness. This means paying attention to your thoughts and actions and recognizing when you're starting to sabotage yourself. For example, if you notice that you're procrastinating on a project, stop and ask yourself why. Are you afraid of failing? Are you feeling overwhelmed? Once you understand why you're procrastinating, you can start to work on changing those thoughts and behaviors. Another important strategy is mindfulness. Mindfulness is like being a detective for your thoughts and feelings. It helps you stay present in the moment and notice when you're starting to think negative thoughts or do things that aren't good for you. Imagine you're working on a task and suddenly you feel like giving up. Mindfulness can help you pause, take a deep breath, and remind yourself why you started the task in the first place. Positive affirmations are also very helpful. These are positive statements you say to yourself to replace negative thoughts. For instance, if you often think, "I'm not good enough," you can replace that thought with, I am capable and I can learn. Saying these affirmations regularly can help you feel more confident and motivated. Aligning your actions with your values is another key strategy. This means doing things that match what you believe in and what's important to you. If you value kindness, for example, make sure your actions are kind to others. When your actions match your values, you'll feel more fulfilled and less likely to sabotage yourself. Building a support system is also crucial. Surround yourself with people who encourage and support you. Talking to friends, family, or a counselor can help you stay motivated and overcome self-sabotage. Having someone to share your goals and challenges with can make a big difference in your journey. Lastly, setting small, achievable goals can help you make progress without feeling overwhelmed. Break down big goals into smaller steps and celebrate each success along the way. This will help you stay motivated and see that you're making progress towards your dreams. Let's look at an example of how these strategies can work together. Imagine you want to start a garden, but every time you try, you end up procrastinating. First, you use self-awareness to recognize that you're procrastinating because you're afraid of failing. Then you practice mindfulness to stay focused on your goal. You use positive affirmations like, "I can do this," to boost your confidence. You align your actions with your value of taking care of the environment by starting small and learning as you go. You also ask a friend to help you, so you have support and someone to share the experience with. By combining these strategies, you can break the cycle of self-sabotage and start achieving your goals. Remember, it's a journey, and it's okay to take things one step at a time. Let's reflect on what we've learned. We discovered that self-sabotage is when we do things that stop us from being happy or successful. It can come from fear, perfectionism, or negative thoughts about ourselves. Philosophers like Socrates and Nietzsche taught us that understanding ourselves and embracing challenges can help us grow. We also heard stories of people who overcame self-sabotage by recognizing their patterns and making small changes. They used strategies like mindfulness, positive affirmations, and setting achievable goals. Now, it's your turn. Take a moment to think about times when you might be sabotaging your own happiness. Are you afraid to try new things? Do you compare yourself to others? Remember, you have the power to change. Start by being kind to yourself and focusing on your strengths. Surround yourself with people who support you and celebrate your small successes. Every step you take towards happiness is a step in the right direction. As we close, let's watch a montage of people overcoming their challenges and embracing joy. See how they're smiling, achieving their goals, and enjoying life. You can do the same. Believe in yourself and take that first step towards a happier you.